You walked past your seed tray this morning, and there they were. Those tiny little green heads poking up through the soil like they've got something to prove. And your first instinct? You probably wanted to water them, talk to them, maybe even move them closer to the window. But here's what nobody tells you, and this is the part that changes everything. The moment your seeds sprout is actually the most dangerous time in their entire life. More seedlings are lost in the first 2 weeks after sprouting than at any other stage. Not because of bad seeds, not because of bad soil, but because of what well-meaning gardeners do right after that first little green shoot appears. So if you've got sprouted seeds right now, or you're expecting some soon, do not touch anything until you've watched this. Because what I'm about to share with you is not what the back of the seed packet says. It's not what your neighbor told you. It's what actually works, especially for those of us who want a garden that gives back without wearing us down. Stay with me until the very end because the last tip I share is the one most people skip. And it's the one that separates a garden that merely survives from a garden that genuinely thrives. What to do in the first 24 hours after sprouting. When you see that first sprout, I want you to do something that might feel completely counterintuitive. I want you to pause and do almost nothing. I know, that sounds strange. But hear me out. Your seedling just did something extraordinary. It broke through a seed coat, pushed up through soil and reached toward light, all on energy stored inside that tiny seed. It is exhausted in the most magnificent way. And the worst thing you can do in that moment is overwhelm it. So here is what the first 24 hours should look like. Check the moisture of your soil. Not by watering it automatically, but by pressing your fingertip gently into the top of the soil. If it feels damp, even slightly cool to the touch, leave it alone. Do not water it. Overwatering at this stage is the #1 silent killer of newly sprouted seeds. The roots are barely formed. They cannot handle sitting in wet soil. What happens is the stem, that delicate little thread holding your seedling up, begins to rot right at the soil line. Gardeners call this damping off, and it happens fast, sometimes overnight. If the soil feels dry and pulls away from the edges of your container, then yes, give it a very light misting. Not a pour. A mist. Think of it like a soft morning dew, not a rainstorm. Then, and this is important, remove any plastic covering or dome you had over your seed tray. Your seeds needed that warm, humid environment to germinate. But now that they have sprouted, they need airflow. Keeping that cover on invites fungal problems. Just take it off, set it aside, and let your little seedlings breathe. That is it for day 1. Just breathe with them. Why your window might be lying to you. Now let's talk about light, because this is where things get really interesting and where a lot of beautiful gardens quietly struggle. Most of us think, okay, seedling needs light, I'll put it on the windowsill. And that makes perfect sense. But here is something that surprised even me when I first learned it. A windowsill in most homes, even a south-facing one, gives your seedling only about 30 to 50% of the light it actually needs to grow strong. Glass filters out a large portion of the light spectrum that plants use for strong stem and leaf development. So what you end up with are seedlings that stretch themselves tall and thin, reaching desperately toward what little light they can access. Gardeners call these leggy seedlings. They look tall but they are actually weak. And weak seedlings do not transplant well. Now, I am not about to tell you to go out and buy expensive equipment. That is not what we do here. But I am going to give you 2 simple low-cost fixes that make an enormous difference. The first one is the reflector trick. Take a piece of aluminum foil and fold it over a piece of cardboard. Stand it up on the side of your seed tray that is away from the window. What this does is bounce light back onto the side of the seedlings that would normally be in shadow. Your seedlings will get more even light exposure without you spending a single extra minute in the garden. Simple. Effective. Brilliant in its quietness. The second fix is rotation. Every 2 days, turn your seed tray a quarter turn. This way, every side of your seedling gets its time in the best light position. No one side gets left behind. Your seedlings grow straighter, stronger, and more evenly without any extra effort from you. If you do happen to have a grow light sitting around or can find an inexpensive one, Set it about 4 to 6 inches above your seedlings and run it for about 14 to 16 hours a day. The results will honestly amaze you. Thinning your seedlings. I want to talk about something that I know makes a lot of gardeners, especially those of us who have been tending to living things our whole lives, genuinely uncomfortable. And that is thinning. Thinning means removing some of your seedlings so that others can grow better. And every time I bring this up, I see the same reaction. People do not want to do it. Feels wasteful. Feels wrong. Why would you pull out a perfectly good seedling? But let me reframe this for you in a way that changed how I think about it. When you plant multiple seeds in one cell or one small pot and they all sprout, those seedlings are now competing against each other for the same water, the same nutrients, and the same light. None of them win that competition. They all grow smaller and weaker than they would have if they had the space to themselves. Thinning is not removing a plant. It is choosing which plant gets to become everything it was meant to be. Here is how to do it gently, especially if you have hands that are not as nimble as they used to be. Use a small pair of scissors, not your fingers. Snipping is far kinder to the roots of the seedlings you are keeping than pulling, which can disturb the whole root system. Simply snip the extra seedlings right at the soil line. Leave the one that looks the most upright, the most green, the most alert. And if you planted seeds in a seed tray with multiple cells, aim for one seedling per cell. If you planted in a pot or a row, give each seedling at least an inch of breathing room, ideally 2. Feels like loss in the moment. But 2 weeks from now, when your remaining seedlings are lush and strong and reaching up with confidence, you will understand why this step matters so deeply. The underground secret. Let us go a little deeper on watering because honestly, this is the one area where even experienced gardeners get it wrong with seedlings. Here is the approach I want you to try, and it might feel a little backward at first. Instead of watering from the top, water from the bottom. This method is called bottom watering, and it is one of the most underused techniques in home seed starting. Here is all you do. Set your seed tray or small pot into a shallow dish or a baking pan with an inch or so of water in it. Let it sit there for about 20 minutes. During that time, the soil draws water up from the bottom through the drainage holes, pulling moisture upward through the root zone exactly the way roots prefer to access water. The result is soil that is evenly moist from the bottom up, with the very top surface staying slightly drier. That drier top surface is your protection against damping off and mold. And your seedlings' roots grow downward reaching for that moisture, which makes them stronger and more stable as they develop. After 20 minutes, lift your tray out of the water and let any excess drain away. Then check again in 2 to 3 days before watering again. You will know it is time to water when the top inch of soil feels dry, and the container feels noticeably lighter when you lift it. That lightness is actually one of the simplest and most reliable watering cues there is, and it works especially well for those of us who may not be able to bend down and touch the soil easily every day. Feeding seedlings without overwhelming them. Now here is a question I get asked all the time. When do I start feeding my seedlings? And here is the answer that surprises most people. Not yet. For the first 2 to 3 weeks after sprouting, your seedlings do not need any fertilizer at all. They are still living on the nutrients stored in the seed and whatever is present in your starting mix. Giving them fertilizer too early is like pushing a big meal on someone who has just woken up from a very long nap. Their system is not ready for it. It can actually burn those delicate new roots. Wait until you see the second set of leaves appear. Not the very first pair, which are called seed leaves or cotyledons, but the second set, which are the first true leaves. Those true leaves look different from the seed leaves, and they signal that your seedling has shifted from survival mode into growth mode. That is your green light. When you do begin feeding, start with a diluted liquid fertilizer. Go to about half the strength the label recommends. A balanced fertilizer, something like a October 10 works beautifully at this stage. Apply it with your bottom watering method so the roots receive it gently from below. Then once a week, check in with your seedlings. If the leaves look pale yellow or the stems look thin, increase slightly. If the leaves look dark green and full, you are right on track. Feeding seedlings is a conversation, not a schedule. Watch what the plant tells you and respond to that. the trick that builds strong stems. Here is one of my absolute favorite tips, and it is one that almost nobody talks about. Ready? Run a small fan near your seedlings for a few hours each day. That is it. A small fan. Set to its lowest setting. Position so it creates a very gentle movement of air across your plants. Here is the science behind why this works. In nature, young plants are constantly being moved by the breeze. That movement stimulates them to produce a specific compound in their stems that makes the stems thicker and stronger. Without that movement, seedlings grow soft and floppy, which makes transplanting much harder on them. When you create that gentle artificial breeze, your seedlings think they are outdoors. They respond by toughening up. They develop stronger root systems to anchor themselves. Their stems become sturdier. And when the time comes to move them outside, the transition is far less of a shock to their system. Run the fan for just 2 to 4 hours a day, not continuously. And make sure the air is not blowing so hard that the seedlings are bending dramatically. A soft flutter, like a whisper of wind, is exactly what you want. This is one of those tips that costs almost nothing and returns so much. A small investment in your seedlings right now means stronger, more resilient plants in your garden later. And for those of us who want a garden that does not require constant rescuing, that matters enormously. Hardening off without the guesswork. Let's talk about the step that, honestly, even experienced gardeners sometimes rush or skip entirely. It is called hardening off, and it is the bridge between your cozy indoor seedlings and the real world waiting for them outside. Here is the picture I want you to hold in your mind. Imagine spending 3 or 4 weeks inside a warm, comfortable, softly lit room. And then someone opens a door and tells you to go run a marathon outside. That transition would be rough on anyone. That is exactly what happens to seedlings that are moved outside without being gradually introduced to outdoor conditions. The direct sun, the wind, the temperature fluctuations, all of it lands on them at once and they go into shock. Leaves turn pale or white. Plants droop. Some do not recover. Hardening off prevents all of that, and it is much simpler than it sounds. About 1 to 2 weeks before you plan to transplant, start bringing your seedlings outside for short visits. Start with just 1 hour in a shaded spot. Not direct sun, just outside in the shade with outdoor air. That first day is more about getting them used to the temperature difference and the outdoor air movement than anything else. Then, every day or every other day, add a little more time and gradually move them into a spot where they receive morning sun. Morning sun is gentler than afternoon sun, and perfect for this transition period. By the end of the week, they can handle several hours outdoors with some direct sunlight. Watch their leaves. If they look stressed, bleached, or wilted, bring them in earlier the next day. If they look fine and perky, you are on track. By the end of 10 to 14 days, your seedlings will be ready for the garden, genuinely ready, not just technically ready. And that difference is felt in how well they establish and grow once they are in the ground. Transplanting gently and well. And now we arrive at transplanting day. This is the moment everything has been building toward, and I want you to go into it with confidence because you have done the work. Your seedlings are strong. They are hardened. They are ready. Here are the 3 things to keep in mind as you transplant. The first is timing. Transplant in the evening or on a cloudy day if at all possible. The cooler temperatures and lower light intensity reduce the stress on your plants during this vulnerable moment. Morning works too, but avoid the hot midday sun on transplant day. The second is depth. Plant your seedlings at the same depth they were growing in their container, with one wonderful exception. Tomatoes and a few other plants actually benefit from being planted deeper, right up to their lowest set of leaves. This is because they can form roots all along their buried stem, which makes them even more anchored and strong. For most other seedlings, match the original depth. The third is water. Water immediately after transplanting, gently and thoroughly, to settle the soil around the roots and eliminate air pockets. Then give your transplants a day or 2 to settle before you resume your regular watering schedule. And here is the very last thing I promised to share with you. The tip that most people skip. After transplanting, give each seedling a single, deep watering session. Let the soil dry out slightly, and then water deeply again. This pattern of deep watering followed by a slight dry period encourages roots to grow downward in search of moisture, rather than staying shallow near the surface. Deep roots mean drought tolerance. Deep roots mean plants that survive summer heat without falling apart. Deep roots mean a garden you do not have to babysit every single day. That is your garden working for you. And that is what we are here for. So there you have it. From that first tiny green shoot to a strong transplanted seedling ready to take on the world. Every step matters and every step is completely within your reach. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more women like you find this channel. And if you have a question, a story, or a seedling update to share, drop it in the comments below. Happy growing, and I'll see you in the next video.